Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. I love my life at the moment. A couple of days ago I worked on a Jag, a 4-liter V8 Jaguar. I drove it for a test drive and all that, and today I'm sitting in my favorite. Oh, wait a second, it's not mine, not yet at least. This is a Skoda Favorit from 1994. It's a 1.3, developing 68 horsepower, which is not bad actually. And at first glance, it's not a bad car either, but there is some things that are very Skoda-like. This sound that you're about to hear reminds me a lot about my old 105S. And considering releasing a car in 1994 with the starter motor sound like this is, they didn't, apparently Skoda didn't really think much of first impressions, but take a listen to this. Let's try again. I'm gonna take the mic. I'm gonna take the mic outside. Yep, that's the Skoda. Let's go for a drive. This is not my car. Let's put it out there straight away. This belongs to the same owner. Yeah, he told me the gear shift was a bit sloppy. It belongs to the same couple as Doris, the diesel Opel that I worked on last year. They live in Sweden, but currently they are on vacation on the island of Fynen, where I live, and they drove this from Sweden. This is actually originally a Danish car, but they moved to Sweden at some point and took the car with them. And this is it's unbelievable that it still exists, because this is not a garage car. It's not been saved for a lot of years. This has just been used and abused in Copenhagen, and no one has really taken care of it until now. So just the fact that it exists is quite amazing, and there are not a lot of Favorits left in the country. But as mentioned, they drove from Sweden, so it's got to be somewhat reliable, because that's a long drive. But they have some issues with it, and that's the reason why it's at my place now, because I need to fix some stuff. Right now I'm just testing everything out to see if there's more stuff, but mainly it's minor stuff actually. The interior light is not working. The heater is stuck on hot, which is really unpleasant. The gearbox is very sloppy. The brake pedal doesn't always want to come back up. I just think it's lack of lubrication, to be honest. I'm not worried about that. And yeah, some other minor stuff. Maybe I will find some more things wrong with it. This is a fun car. I better turn on the lights. They don't work either. I suppose there should be some kind of light in there. But this Skoda Favorit is the in-betweener from the old Skodas. I had the 105, as some of you might remember, the one with the engine in the rear. After this came the Felicia, and then I think Volkswagen took over pretty much from there. But this is an old school Skoda. The engine is pretty much the same as in my old 105. I think the cylinder head on this one is aluminum. On mine it was cast iron on top of an aluminum block. But I believe this is an all aluminum block. And because it's from 1994, it got injection. Yeah, it's been modernized, but it's actually a pretty impressive thing to make aluminum engines back then. But it is a bit agricultural still. Let's just do a quick speed run and see how quickly we can get to 80 without blowing it up, of course. Yep, that's 80. That's not bad. That's all right. It's not a race car. They are notorious for head gasket issues, so I'm not gonna push it too much. This one though has got the head gaskets changed once, and at least on the old engines it could be a problem because the block could get warped and all that. I don't know if that's the same issue on these, but yeah, it's a bit touchy on the head gasket subject. Yeah, sorry for the sweatiness, but it is quite hot today and the heater is, as mentioned, stuck on, and I don't want to take the window too far down because it will be very noisy in the microphone, I presume. Therefore I'll just have to Jakob and Anne, who owns this car and Diesel Doris and many other cars, are the kind of people who likes to own the forgotten daily cars, the non-exceptional cars, the non-appreciated cars at the time. But now they are very fun to see again, and it's very nice to know that someone like them takes care of them and uses them. They take them to shows all the time and drive them around on vacations and stuff like this. So that's really nice. I have a huge respect for that. It's something that I like to do myself from time to time. It's fun to take those cars that were all over the place at one point and then suddenly just disappeared. And maybe you forgot to appreciate them at the time, but now it's just very fun. And Skoda, for instance, is a car, yeah, it's still around. It's actually very much around. It's one of the bigger marques, at least in my parts of the world. But it has nothing to do with the old Skodas. Absolutely nothing. The old Skodas were made in Czechoslovakia, a country that doesn't even exist anymore. This was pretty much the best car coming from the eastern parts of the world back then, and a very decent and affordable car, to be honest. And it's fairly decent spec. Also, I'm struggling to remember which cars it could compare to back then. It must be Polos and the likes. But that being said, this being a 1994 car, and they started making these in '89, it feels way more 80s than the other cars from the 90s. For instance, the early 90 Corolla models were just, yeah, they drove a little bit better than this. But honestly, it's not bad. I am enjoying driving it, and I like the fact that it's got 68 horsepower. It's not completely underpowered. It's decent for a small, affordable car. And the handling, well, it's better than the 105S, which was a fun car to drive, but with the rear swing axle, it was a little bit scary at speeds. This one is actually it's absorbing the bumps pretty nicely, I think. I got a small vibration, but nothing too bad. It's honestly pretty fun to drive. I haven't read up on the model range, and I don't know which was the fastest Favorit models. I presume you could get a 1.1, I guess. I don't know if there was anything bigger, and I'm pretty sure there were no GTI models, unfortunately. That could be fun. There is actually something wrong with the brakes. It is dragging a little bit. It's not really letting go, and it's feelable. It could feel, it actually feels like it's the pedal that is binding up a little bit. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. But I'm just gonna go find a spot and do a quick walk around the car and show you the Skoda in all its glory. It's the popular red model of the Skodas. You will probably know it. If you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you have been watching Hopnut also. And Hopnut had one of these just as a estate. And the same red paint with absolutely no shine anymore. You can polish them up pretty nicely, but it won't last that long. They just seem to age quite badly, the red paints from that era. I gotta say, I like it at 80. It feels really nice on the small roads. It's absorbing the bumps really nicely. The steering is completely steady. There's a bit of body roll. but that is to be expected. We're not talking about a GTI model or anything close to that, but it's decent. There's a bit of road noise or gearbox noise that I can't really pinpoint. It sounds like it's still a rear-wheel drive car for some reason, but it just feels like it's a bit growly, but I'm not sure anything is wrong with it. This car got 180,000 kilometers on the clock, or thereabout, because that's one of the other issues. The speedometer has stopped working. I hope to be able to fix it. So it's currently reading 168, but they have tried to keep track of the mileage since that happened. It happened a couple of years back, I think, they told me. So that would be nice to get working again. The speedometer is working, but not the odometer, which is probably not a huge deal, because I don't think it will be a deal breaker for anyone trying to buy this if it has 300,000 kilometers on the clock at 100. If you want a Skoda Favorit, I don't think you will be too picky about it, to be honest. But anyway, it would be nice to have it working, of course. So firstly, the interior is very early 90s, or I'd say late 80s, with very feelable buttons. And not a lot of them either. Blanked off ones for extra equipment. This one got a heated rear window. Oh, there's a lot of Skoda jokes in that one. And it got a heater, which is currently working only at heating. But it's not supposed to be like that. And then there is fan speeds, which I say it's exactly the same speed on all three. A radio, Blaupunkt, that seems to be, I doubt that's original. And then a glove compartment that is very, very, very deep. There's a lot of space in there. Pre-airbag time, it left a lot of room. And someone had a fancy phone at some point. Manually winding down windows, and then there is this thing up here, which is looking to be taken from a much more expensive car. It feels like they have offered. It feels like they used quite a lot of time in the design department to make this part up here, because that's really nice. I'm just going to try to film it from the back seat. Yeah, it is a bit dark in here, but it's really nice up there for some weird reason. Well, there's a decent amount of room back here. Not for me, because I have very long legs, but it is possible to sit back here, so it's not completely horrible. And as mentioned, this is in absolutely no way a show car, and it's just a proper daily survivor, and it shows. It's really rough. There's a lot of paint fixes, and the worst part is actually the trunk area. It's quite rusty. But this is the special edition. Special line. And a very fancy looking rear window defroster. Goes like that. That's pretty cool. More paint repairs, rust fixes. To be rust fixes, probably at some point. But it is looking decent in there. Let's take a quick glance underneath. Yeah, there's still metal down there, so that's a good thing. Oh, is that the special line? Well, let's try to open up the bonnet. And there we have it. Yeah, it's an aluminum cylinder head, an aluminum block, an aluminum gearbox. It's all aluminum, so it's updated since the one that I had, because that was cast iron at the cylinder head. But other than that, it's very similar to my 105, and I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same starter making that funky sound. This though is a bit modern, because it got a management system and an evap system and injection. And as you can see that the head has been off not that long ago. It's a chain-driven engine. It's pretty nice. I'm just gonna leave the microphone here and start the engine. Hopefully you will then hear the hilarious starter engine. Just imagine going to a showroom in the middle of the 90s and going for a test drive in one of these and hearing that sound. That's a bit, it's a very agricultural starter sound. But other than that, the engine itself is sounding pretty nicely, I think. No major leaks or anything. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'm gonna drive this back home and then start working on it. I might do a video on it, I don't know yet, but probably will, because I think this is interesting, and I'm pretty sure some of you got the same weird taste in cars like I do. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.